Hey, this is Brian Aldrich from 4th Street Software, and today I'm going to take a look at the new fast action cards for the basketball game, 4th Street Basketball. Alright, with these you can eliminate the use of dice, the use of the location grid, and if you're playing a man-to-man defense, you really don't even have to worry too much about what you do with the basketball court. So if you look at this, you can see that I've got this all mapped out. Down near the basket we have zone 1A, 1B, 1C. Well, in the man-to-man game, you don't really need to use that. All you need to know is 1, 2, or 3. So first level, second level, third level. So let's go through that here a little bit, just show you what's going on. First of all, take a look at a couple of the cards quick. There are basically 3 columns, and then a little bit more to choose from too. So on the left hand side, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5 are just the positions of the players. So 1 is a point guard, 2 is a shooting guard, etc. 5 would be a center. Straight across from that is the zone that they would occupy either during a setup play or after a rebound or a loose ball. In the third column, you have a series of different numbers here, and they're colored. Red is the red die, so it replaces it. Blue's for the blue die, the orange die, the black die, and the white die. And then down in the lower left-hand corner is an ID code for the card. In this case, we have a gold 30. There's 2 types of cards. There are gold ones and green ones, and they are interchangeable depending upon what you have as far as location grid, or the rules, I should say, rather. So, for example, if you look down at the bottom of this particular card, this is for the 1979 and 80 NBA season. The modification for fast action cards is we're going to use all gold numbered cards and no green numbered cards. If instead you had something that you would replace, say gold cards 1, 2, and 3 with green colored cards, most likely what that would end up doing is shifting the odds a little bit so that the setup zones would be in level 3 rather than level 2 or 1. And that's to make up for the difference in the 3-point shots that are taken in those seasons. Alright, so let me show you how these things work here. They're pretty straightforward. So anyway, let's say we're starting off the game. We have a jump ball. So, first of all, I've got these all shuffled, ready to go. I'm going to flip one over. And I've got a pair of 5s up in the top right-hand corner. Red 5, blue 5. So there's a tie there. Now, in this situation, what we have is on a jump ball, if there's a tie, and you have to add the jump ratings of the 2 players involved in it, of course, but if that ends up being a tie, then the home team will win that thing. That's really the only home field advantage there is here. And then we flip over another card to take a look at the person that has control of the ball. So in this case, it'll be player 1, or shooting guard, or point guard rather. Alright, I'm going to move those over here for a second, and the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to start 2 stacks. One is for time plays, and the other is for non-time plays. And a jump ball in 4th Street Basketball is an untimed play. Just about everything else is timed. So now we're ready for our setup, and we go ahead with that. And what we've got is, since player 1 has control of the ball, we just take a look across from the number 1, and we see that he sets up in zone 1A. Alright, that one's done. Now I'm going to go ahead and we'll have another one here. The blue team is in control of the ball. So they're in their offensive end here. And I go ahead and I've got a matchup die 4, and 3. Now, one thing about the playing cards is that the red and the blue are independent of the black and the orange, which are independent of the white. So it takes sometimes 3 flip overs here to figure out what happened. In this case, we know now if, all things being equal, the blue players won the matchup. So now I go ahead and flip over another card, but notice I slipped that into the second stack. And the reason I did that is this is just a second part of the same play that I'm on. So I know that player 1 has won the matchup against his opponent, and now I take a look at the orange and black and read off what the play result happens to be. Okay, so he's either going to shoot or he's going to sometimes pass, sometimes dribble, just depends upon the situation. And this just keeps going on and on and on. So let's say he makes the basket. Okay, we have a setup play. So now red has control of the ball, and we look at this. Player 1 is going to receive the ball. That's the timed portion. And now I look over here, and he's going to set himself up in zone 3, or level 3, in zone 3A. Okay, so now we know where he's at. Next, we see if he wins this matchup. He does. Gets a 6 over a 3, presumably, if the two offensive and defensive ratings are the same, that is. Now I flip over another card, and I can see that I have an orange 1 and a black 5. Let's say that that's a pass play. Okay, so this is all in the same play. So now I flip over another card, and it tells me which player receives the ball. In this case, it's player 6. Of course, there is no player 6. So what you have to do is look at the highest recipient rating, and that player would receive the ball. All right, now after you reach the bottom of the stack here, what you need to do is take a look at how many cards are in the timed pile. So I have 4 of them, and all I have to do is move the clock accordingly. There's even another shortcut that you can take along with this. If you do this with one set of cards, on average there will be 15 timed plays every time you run through the deck. So if you simply move the timer pawns accordingly, okay, so let's say I go through the deck one time, there's 12 different 5-second intervals here. All I have to do is move this 15 places. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, and I'm going to move my time down 2 minutes. Once the first time that I pass 0, and once for the second. Now, since it takes on average 15 of these cards, time cards, to go through the stack, you can take another shortcut here and just move it 3 places. 15 take away 12 is 30. So that would have required me to run through the 0 mark 2 times, so I take 2 minutes off the match. Next time I run through it, I'm going to take off 15 more, so I just move this 3 more down. I would have passed the 0 mark 1 time, so I move it 1 minute. And by doing that repeatedly, you can really speed the game up. On average, it takes me about 5 minutes less to play with the play cards than it does with dice, even with taking stats.